Nnamdi Kanu has not done anything that other people from other zones have not done. We know about Sunday Igboho, of the Yoruba nation agitator. We know of the Boko Haram people that say they want a different country where Western education is an abomination. These people have been released. Not just that they have been released. In the case of Boko Haram, they've been re-assimilated to the society, given plum jobs. Even in our military, they've been given money and been resuscitated, reconciled, and rehabilitated. Why is Nnamdi Kanu's case different? There is an ethnic and some unnecessary bias that is keeping that man in jail. The government should be wise enough to release this man. You can use the Julian Assange option. So if you don't want to say you are losing face, you can release him conditionally, you can release him unconditionally. As a lawyer, I've watched the legal issues very clearly, and I saw that even in the courts, from the High Court to the Supreme Court, there are discordant tones amongst them. Even in the issue of bail, some of the tier of the courts have granted him bail. Even in the issue of the charges, some tier of the court had quashed all the charges. So you can see that the government has a lot of places it can stand to release the young man and bring peace to the southeast. He is now more like a political prisoner. I tell you something, the longer Nnamdi Kanu is in prison, the taller he becomes, and the shorter the government becomes. They should take the intelligent way out of this and release him like they did to other people. Rehabilitate him and reconcile him as they are reconciling Southeast completely to the nation.
I'm glad you brought up that Julian Assange case because analysts have been looking into the similarities between these two cases. And what stuck out with me majorly is the fact that Nnamdi Kanu fled bail back in 2017, much like Julian Assange. But what it seems right now is it's more of a political situation with Nnamdi Kanu. With Julian Assange, it seemed that the potentness or the pungentness of his crimes seemed to deteriorate as the world grew and as time went on and more leaks like this happened. In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, some could argue that him staying in jail, of course it's unfortunate, but him being released would also lead to some unintended consequences in terms of an escalation of violence. This is allegedly, etc., and the reigniting of his followers who seem to be scattered all over the world and seem to be a bit of a thorn in the flesh of individuals who have been suffering the sit-at-home orders and all the other violence that has come about. How will they be able to balance those two equations of keeping him in jail, which is worse, keeping him in jail or letting him out, and potential violence escalating? What are your thoughts on that?
My thought is this. I brought the Julian Assange issue just to tell you that the government can use wisdom and bring about situation where they will tell him, you've spent so and so time in detention. Let us count it for you as any punitive measure for whatever they may say he had done. Allow him to plea to any minor offense that will suit that number of times he has already stayed and release him. That's why I brought the Julian Assange. That's wisdom. Then secondly, you can release him conditionally and tell him, look, this will bring crisis if we release you. No responsible government will say, let us release you when we have not gotten a commitment from you that you will no longer go along this line. The young man had said that he is willing to negotiate, that he is willing to talk. So you talk to him, that is releasing him conditionally. Then the third one is releasing him unconditionally. So you have a choice, but the three of them will land in releasing him. The most important thing is that the government checks the cost-benefit analysis in whatever it is doing. And I can tell you that the benefit of releasing him if you can make him to get commitment on what you want him to do after releasing him, will be better than keeping him. Because keeping him has not solved the security situation in the southeast. It has not stopped the agitation. As a matter of fact, it is making even the agitation to now be multifaceted, to now be unknown. That's why you hear the unknown gunmen. So it's more difficult to tackle. So releasing him, in my own opinion, will be better off now than keeping him. The benefit of releasing him will be better than the cost. So you negotiate with him, know the best option, and release him.
Now, Mr. Okonkwo is talking about the issue of security. The governor has also resolved to tackle insecurity in the southeast. But that's a bit vague when we consider what's been happening in that region over the years.
Right. So something just occurred to me recently, and it is that in the recent time, you hear some of our political leaders from the east talk about the release of our dear leader Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, people like Kenneth Okonkwo, Senator Nnamdi Kanu said about Nnamdi Kanu, and some of our other leaders from the east, they talk about, we saw Rocha Sokorocha talk about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, you ask yourself, all these people that is calling for Nnamdi Kanu's release, are they supporting what Nnamdi Kanu is pushing for? Are they supporting the creation of the sovereign state of Biafra? Are they supporting it? Obviously, no. Yes. We've had Kenneth Okonkwo. You will know the issue. The fight is fighting with Peter Obi over 2027. All of them now is talking about 2027. Who will be the president? Who will not be the president? We've seen Senator Kanu come out. He even wore a clothes supporting Tinubu, say that it is Tinubu or nobody, that nobody is fit to become the president of Nigeria come 2027 except Tinubu. We saw Senator Nnamdi go to the Senate chambers talking about 2027. So you ask yourself, why are these people calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu when they are not even supporting what Nnamdi Kanu is pushing for? You know what? After thinking about this, I said, these people are actually wanting to buy the minds of our people. Yes, so that they will come out and tell people that, oh, we've called for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. They will release him very soon, but vote for us, 2027. Vote for you, 2027. Funny people. Anyway, I'm just doing this video to, open the eyes of our people so that we understand what is going on. Because you cannot be calling for the release of somebody. You cannot claim to be supporting somebody while you are not supporting what that person is pushing for. Oh yes, Nnamdi Kanu is not calling for any presidential candidate come 2027. Nnamdi Kanu is calling for the creation of the sovereign state of Biafra, which I believe, yes, and which I know so many of our brothers believe, that the best way to go about Nigeria is not any presidential candidate. I don't even believe in Peter Obi. Who is Peter Obi compared to our leader? I believe in what Nnamdi Kanu is calling for the sovereign state of Biafra. So please, just wise up. Now, let me allow you, please, a little bit. Watch this interview that our leader granted about the Nigerian politics and the state of Biafra and what they have told him about joining a political party. Please watch it. Then you drop your comment on the comment section. Remember, as I said, this is just an eye-opener. So for some of us that is beginning to support these political leaders because they call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, you have to open your eyes and know that these people are not even supporting what your leader is supporting. Please watch this video.
Ya ndi okwu asị ka ha bụ ha niile ma ume ahụ ma okezi ikpeazụ ma nne ya nwa odo okwu asị ka ọ bụ nke a ndị ji asị na-eri nri ịgbara ndị Fulani odibo nchi iwu osote onye isi n'obodo Nigeria ọ mgbe m nọ n'ụlọ iko ka m ga-etinye ha n'aka akwụkwọ si ha agaghị m emezi Biafra ọzọ unu bịa ka mgbara unu odibo ka ndị ọzọ si agbara ha odibo ha yọrọ m njụ nsị na aga m ahapụ nwere onwe nna azọ kwee n'ihi ndị ya niile maka ọdịmma nke ha nwa na nke ụmụ ha ma nke ụmụ ha ga-abịa n'ihi na agwara m ha okwu m si ha oge mgbe Zik a na-agwa Zik mgbe ọ na-eji ike na-akọwara Zik si ya na ebe ị na-aga n'ụzọ adịghị ya ọ na-efisi kpakakpaka mba ọwọ Nigeria ka ị gaa n'ihu lekwa ọnọdụ anyị n'ụbọchị nke taa na-akọwakwara ndị ya sị ha ihe Aziki mere mgbe mbụ tinye anyị na ụmụ anyị nọ n'ime ya n'ụbọchị nke taa ọkwa ihe unu na-eme kedu ụzọ nwanne Nnamdi Kanu si na-eme ya na-emeju ya unu kọwara m ka m ghọta na m sị ma unu arụghị ogbe nke abụọ gafere River Niger na unu ga-arụ okporo ụzọ unu ga-emezi ebe niile ebe ụmụaka na-agụ akwụkwọ ọ ga-emezi ya emezi ọma mma ụlọ ọgwụ a ga-arụzi ya arụzi a ga-enwe ọkụ mmiri ga na-agba ọ ga-adịrị onye ihu na mma dịrị onye azụ na mma kedu ụzọ m si mejọ ndị dị etu a asị m na ụzọ m si na-eme ya na ọ dịghị mma njọ ha sị ya mbụ ngwa agha onye m gbara egbe onye m gburu mma onye m gbara ụta akwa sọsọ ozi ọma Chineke si m gbasa n'igwe okwu ka m na-agbasa kezie ka o si metụta unu ọ bụ gịnị mere unu a na-asị ka akpọta Nnamdi Kanu ka egbuo ya ọha na eze na ndị gọvanọ ọkwa na gịnị mere ndị herdsmen na-egbusi ndị mmadụ n'ugwu Awụsa ndị gọvanọ ha n'ugwu Awụsa kpọbe ka abịa gbusie ha inu anunugo na onwe onye na-achị ugwu Awụsa gọvanọ pụtara sị ka egbusie ndị herdsmen unu anunugo na onwe onye Yoruba pụtara sị ka egbusie ndị OPC ọgwụ na sọsọ ndị Igbo n'ihi na unu na-agba lịka kunu ga-agbara ndị Fulani odibo onye pụta ọsị ka agbara Fulani odibo onye nsị na mụ abụọ Nnamdi Kanu agaghị m agbara Fulani odibo ha nwere ha kwesịrị gbara mụ odibo ihe na-esere mụ na ha gaa n'ugwu Awụsa ndị ha na-akpọrọ isi n'ala na-ajụ ha unu na ebe a Nnamdi Kanu ọ pụtakwa n'ụbọchị one unu hapịa ọ na-akpagharị ebe niile ego ọ na-enye ga-enyekwa ya ọzọ onye ahụ otiri mkpu bịa ọ gaa na BBC Igbo na-akọrọ ha aka m esokwa ya aka gị ọkwa ọgwụ ogonwa wee onye isi nche na steeti gị ị ga-agwa m na onwe ka ndị agha obodo ekwensu bụ zoo Naijiria ga-esi malite na-akpa mkpamkpa n'obodo gị ịmaghị ihe gbasara ya ngwongwo niile esibe mburu akwa ebe Kezi Ikpeazụ ka ebugara na gọọmenti hatụ na Ezinna m ha na-ekiri na-amụ amụ ohe were ụmụnne ha na-eresi ndị Fulani chee na ndị Fulani ga-ahụ ha n'anya wee na-ajụ na-asị gị na-eme na ọha na eze n'ụbọchị nke taa akwa ofu Jubril a ha na-agbara odibo ha na-achụrụ efi akwa ofu Jubril a bịara ugbu a bịa tisa ọha na eze tiwa ya ụzọ abụọ ịhụnanya ya
o nwere otu ọ ga-abụ ma gị ma ha nwere ike bịakọta ọnụ ka akpa ihe ọfụma nwee nkwekọrịta otu a ga-esi gaa n'ihu
ihe na-eme na ndị be anyị wụ na ha na-aghọtachi anyị na-eme ọfụma ịjụọ ha sị na m chọrọ ikewapụ Biafra n'ime Naijiria na ọ bụghị ihe ziri ezi na iwu obodo ha akwadoghị ya nna-ajụ ha sị ya kee ụzọ chọrọ isi imi ya asị na ọwụ ka aga mee ntuli aka elu anyị bịanyecha aka atụcha vootu aga na ebe a na-eme iwu anọrọ akpa ya ekwekọrịta anyị gawa n'iru njụọ ha ndị na-eme iwu obodo Naijiria mmadụ ole si Kano steeti pụta 44 ọ bụ mmadụ ole na-emekwe n'iwu a si Abia Imo na Bayelsa pụta ha erughị sọsọ Kano steeti ọ bụzi ụzọ dị anya ka ị ga-esi wee nweta ihe a ibu n'obi ebe ndị ọwa anyị na ha na-awụ nọchiri egwuru agara agbachi ụzọ nọchi ebe niile efe adịghị ụzọ adịghị obere ihe unu kwesịrị ịrụ unu anaghị arụ ya nwatakịrị ihe wụ ogbe nkịtị ebe na-ebute mmanụ na-ebute ukoro ọkụ ike a na-ebupụ na-akpata ego bekee wee na-eri ndị ugwu Awụsa ji na-eleta onwe ha mma wụnaba anyị ka o si bịa okporo ụzọ nkịtị na ama nru Ọnịcha ruo Enugu kezi ihe ọzọ ị na-akọwara m ọ bụ gịnị ka imepụta gworo ga-eme m ga-eji wee nwee ntụkwasị obi ebe ị nọ n'ihe ị na-ekwu na ị ga-emenwu ya na ọwa eziokwu ihe IPOB na makwa nnupụ isi ka anyị na-enupụ isi nkwenekwa na-ekwu na ilu a na-atị n'Igbo a sị mgbe ụfọdụ m okorobịa nkwane ka onye ara na-alụnye ya nwaanyị ọkwana ihe anyị na-eme na mmegbu anyị na-emegbu anyị na ọ karịala na ihe a na-eme anyị na ọ dịghị mma ekunye agbagbuo anyị ege ebe a akpọ ejide ebe anyị na-azụ ahịa laa ya n'iyi ha nwa na onwe ha enweghị ihe ha pụrụ ime ha niile na-agbara ndị Fulani odibo ị ga-abịa bịakwute nna gị okwu sị nna gị okwu ana m enupụ isi nsị ha mmụọ awụ Nnamdi Kanu na m agbara ha odibo uru ha afọ ka mụ na ha mee ya ha ajụ onye na-ese okwu onweghị ihe ọzọ ana m ekpere ha ekpere ka onye nwe anyị baa ha n'ime ka ha nweta ezi mmụọ nchegharị ka ha ghọta na ha nwe ọrụ ha kwesịrị ịrụ n'ime ndụ ndị ha ịghọtakwa n'ọrụ a ma rụọ ya nke ọma wee ghọta na eziokwu nọ n'ime ihe m na-ekwu bụ eziokwu ka ọ bụ. Ha soro m kwuwe nke bụ eziokwu. Ha soro m kwuwe nke bụ eziokwu, mmekọrịta anyị na ha na-agwụ, nsogbu ọbụla adịghị. Kama ha nọ n'okwu asị na-agbara ndị Fulani odibo efe adịghị. Ha agaghị enwe mmekọrịta ọbụla.
What does Biafra mean?
It means freedom, liberty, fairness, equity, and justice.
In practical terms, these are very good sounding words, but in practical terms, what does Biafra mean?
Confederation.
So, a weak center,
Very weak.
very strong regions.
Absolutely.
Have you had a change of mind, therefore, about getting an independent Biafra? Because that's what I seem to be hearing.
No, I've not changed my mind, no. And independent Biafra means going back to where we were before the white man came.
Okay, so you're not talking about a federation when you say a confederation. You're not talking about a federation as part of Nigeria. You're talking about total independence.
Absolute independence.
Complete independence. Now, is there anything that can happen that will make you change your mind about this particular direction?
No.
So it is either Biafra or nothing
Or
else.
death. Yes.
Or death.
That's correct.
If push comes to shove,
Yes.
will you go to war?
No, because truth is a far more potent and deadlier weapon than bullets and mortars.
So no war. You've ruled out the
Absolutely, I don't believe in war. No, no war. When I say Biafra or death, I'll keep pushing. Either I am alive, I die in the process, I won't stop. Allow me to repeat, if you don't mind. Had sovereign national conference been convened by the powers that be, where every ethnic nation, I said every, I don't care if there are 600, I don't care. Everyone is
all the 500 plus.
everyone together to say this is all. Others can delegate, I don't know, powers to other people to attend on their behalf. Sit down to say, what type of country do we want? Sit down, discuss, agree. I can begin to perhaps submit to your
Is it too late?
It is way too late. They've killed too many people. They've ruined too many lives. They've wasted too many souls. How do we bring those people back?
If the federal government, given the agitation that is going on, becomes convinced that, you know what, these people have a point, and it is time to actually address all these issues, and they begin to systematically address some of these issues, would you change your mind?
No, because of the deceptions of the past.
No trust.
No trust. Aburi was there, it was negotiated. Nothing happened. 1968, if I recall. And the confab report, what became of it? How about the 3 R's? Reconciliation, reconstruction, and heaven knows what else. What became of them? Nothing. Calabar Seaport is not working. Can you tell me why it's not working? It's a seaport used by the colonial masters. Why is it not working today? How about Iguacha Seaport? Why is it not being used? Why not worry? Why must we allow only Lagos to function as a viable seaport? In England, where I used to live, you had Liverpool, you had the Southern, which is Portsmouth, Southampton, everywhere. You had harbors and ports. So why must you have only one?
I've heard people say these are very valid arguments, and that these are things that are to do with bad governance. So the average Biafran, to use your phrase, or Igbo man in the Igbo, is facing poverty much in the same way that the average guy in Yobe State is facing poverty. And so these are issues of governance. You don't agree with that?
I agree completely.
Okay. So if that is it, why isn't the agitation about tackling the problem, which is ensuring good governance, perhaps starting from locally? Because part of the allegations against you is that you don't confront your political leaders in the East, and you'd like to blame Abuja for everything.
Because the way I would want to solve a problem is not how a Fulani man would want to solve it.
You really believe this is an ethnic thing, and the
ethnic.
approach is different?
No, the approach is different. No, it's not ethnic. It is more to do with value system.
Right.
The way you may want to solve a problem could be markedly different from how I do mine.
What is the geographical makeup of Biafra? as far as you are concerned, this Biafra that you want? So, for example, if we're doing a referendum, where will that referendum take place? Is it only the 5?
It's on, no.
It's okay.
It's on, which is River State, Bayelsa, Delta, Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Ebonyi, Cross River.
Akwa Ibom?
And Akwa Ibom, of course.
Right.
Those are the coasters. Basically,
Bayelsa?
yes. Southeast and South-South without Edo State.
Without Edo State.
That's correct. And then including Igede, Idoma.
Right, the Benues, so the Igalas and part of the Kogi state, right?
Yeah.
Nyosom Wike, the governor of the governor of River State, made a statement, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, and said, you should not be including River State
It's for
and
the people of River State to decide,
people.
not him. I can't decide for Biafrans. They have to go and vote and convince the whole world that they want Biafra. It's not for instance, it's only one man, one vote.
What if they're not even willing to take part in the referendum? Because I've had people from the South, for example, from Bayelsa. I've had people from Cross River. I think there's a famous actress, Kate Henshaw, for example, wrote a long piece about why people of the South don't want to be dragged into a place called Biafra. You're saying, regardless of what they say, you want a referendum in those parts?
Because I know the majority of the people want a referendum. I was in Iguacha yesterday.
How do you know?
I was there yesterday. I was in Iguacha yesterday. You call Port Harcourt. I was there yesterday. I should have been there to see what happened.
Now,
they were delighted to see me. I'm sure you know that. It's all over the place. They're very happy to see me. I bet Kate Henshaw wouldn't get such reception. Where she to go to?
She's a big, popular Nollywood actress. I wouldn't necessarily.
I'm telling you, if I go to her village, people will turn out to see me more than turn out to see her.
It's all right. Thank you very much. As I said, this is just an eye-opener. Be wise. Do well to drop your comment on the comment section what you think, all right? I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much, and God bless you.